The whole concept of an experience wave is a dream come true. I had a vision 10 years ago. It's evolved into what we've got today through a lot of pain, a lot of failure, a lot of stress.
So there's going to be 1,300 people in here, totally glam. But we haven't got long, just a few hours, and then we're going to be up on that stage and chatting about your life.
You are now the one that has the exclusive right to bring me over here to the speeches.
It's what you call a dream team.
Here we go.
No matter how long you're in this game, my stress levels go through the roof every single time.
By the second, everything was exactly the way it was planned. This has been the best organized event that I've been to.
My dream come true. It was incredible. It's exciting, we've got so many things coming. Just keep your eyes peeled and I'll see you all soon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Inspire Me podcast with myself, STEPHEN Olexy. Now, today we've got a little bit of a different format because the roles are going to be reversed slightly. I've got my good friend, Adam Macken, who I've grown up with for many, many years, to come in and interview me on my story. I've always wanted to start a podcast, as I mentioned previously, and I thought there'd be no better way than to get my story and my version of events out for this first episode. So, Adam.
Yeah, thanks for the intro, Steve. Much appreciated.
You're welcome, my buddy.
Thank you. So, first of all, how are you doing? You looking well, mate? You looking in good shape?
Thank you, my buddy. Thank you. Yeah, I'm good. It's been a very, 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 very testing 12 months and beyond. But I feel like I'm coming out the other end now, and yeah, I'm excited to get on this journey with the podcast. And obviously, there's a lot of future stuff coming up as well. Yeah. For the other brands as well, but yeah, it's been crazy, and we're obviously going to go into what's happened and stuff.
We are indeed, mate. We are indeed. So before we get into the meat and bones of it, so obviously going to the highest of highs and the lowest of lows with jail time. So let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Your story growing up.
Right, let's go back to the beginning. So basically, my childhood was very stable. You know, I had a very loving mum and dad. We grew up in the countryside, and I was a very ambitious young kid. Yeah. Had dreams from early ages about being a professional footballer, and I just enjoyed my own company, really. I think obviously that's put me in stead for later in life of all the adversity that's come my way. So yeah, loving mum and dad, beautiful sister Ange, and my sole aim as a kid was to become a professional footballer. That's what the initial goal was. Yeah. Which obviously I went on to achieve. Left school and went to Halifax. Well, originally at Huddersfield Town, and then went to Halifax Town and signed professional contracts with them under Paul Bracewell, who was quite a significant name at the time. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I was in the first team at 17 years of age, which is pretty crazy when I look back now, because at that time you think to yourself, you're older than what you are. Do you understand? Yeah. But really, I was a baby at 17, and I'm playing in the first team. I think we played Hull City at the Shea for my professional debut. Massive crowd, but I think there were about 6,000 to 7,000 there or whatever. But I remember being at touchline thinking, "Fucking hell, this is scary stuff."
Proper nerve-wracking.
Really nerve-wracking. But I just think I've always run before I can walk, and I jump into things quite quickly without being scared of it. And again, I think that's set me up for obviously the future of my business life type of thing.
You're definitely one of those guys, like if you're into something, you're massively into it, aren't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Like, you give it everything, don't you? 100%, your whole heart.
100%.
Yeah. Touching on the football there, I remember once when I'd never played with you before, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think, as we'll touch on this later on as well, when you went to Zante, I think 2009, we saw you in the gym.
Yeah.
We got chatting for a bit, and I says, "Oh, come up and play. You know, Wellesley Barracks will play football."
Oh yeah.
I'd never played. We always known you were a good player and that, but I remember you were like, "Oh, I'm a bit unfit. I've just been on it on the beer for 3 months or whatever it was." And you came up and played, and I remember just you could see the talent just there straight away. Yeah. I'll never forget. I think you did. I played you, obviously me, nice little assist there. Played you through with a nice little through ball.
Yeah.
And you didn't even touch it. First time, cheeky little Rabona, bang, bottom corner. And I'm like, wow. But I just remember all other lads like that, Burra, Fazley, Rich, all them boys. I could just see these flashbacks. But you could see the talent from there. And I know your football career got stopped short, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
You had a bit of a Weetabix knee, didn't you? I think
Yeah,
it was,
yeah. I ended up having 3 operations, two in my right and 1 in my left.
Yeah.
There was an issue with regards to Halifax Town going to administration, so we had all our contracts terminated, which was unlucky at that point. And then I just from about ages of 22, 21, 22, I just kept getting injured.
Yeah.
They were like.
Did you find yourself? Was that the point? Would you say you were falling out of love with football for a bit, and then you started venturing onto other things? Was
yes,
that because
because
of the injuries, or was that
but it's just
mindset shift, or
professional football isn't what it seems. Maybe it is when you're in Division, the Championship or Premier League on this massive salaries and stuff. But when you're in the lower leagues, like I was, every day's a battle. It's hard. It's repetitive. Yeah. There's a lot of snakes. Yeah. You can't trust anyone in your team. They're all acquaintances. You might have a couple of guys you get on with close, but end of the day, they want your place in the team.
Is that the lads after your position?
Exactly. So you can never relax. You're constantly on fight and flight. Your training's very repetitive. It's a hard life. It's football, so it makes you fall out of love with it. Initially, it's easy because you're playing in playgrounds or on the park. But when you get to professional, it's difficult. It's a difficult career, very short career.
Yeah, different level.
And I did fall out of love with it, but I continued to play semi-professional for Bradford Park Avenue. That was a great time for me. I really enjoyed it because what that enabled me to do is, get a job on the side, sort of catch up with my youth, because I used to never go out drinking or anything between the ages of 16 to 21 really.
Yeah, dedicated, yeah.
So I ended up playing semi-professional for Bradford Park Avenue. Really loved it there. I did really well. Nearly got in the England semi-pro team by playing for them, which is quite a unique moment. But a defining moment around that time is I went to a sportsman's dinner. I think I was about 22, and I was doing little events at the time, DJing and stuff at our local club, as you know.
Yes, yeah.
The
Lush as well, yeah.
The Ukrainian club in Halifax. So I used to do little events there from being 18 years of age, putting dance and R&B nights and stuff like that. Yeah. £3 in and putting posters up all around.
Well, mate. I remember them
yeah. So that was my first taste of entrepreneurial, putting events on and try to fill the room. And
just for the guests there viewing, I'm just going to touch on, you might hear Ukraine mentioned quite a lot.
Yeah.
So Stephen, both Yorkshiremen, both Halifax born and bred, but also from Ukrainian heritage as well, from our granddad's side. So if you hear us reverting back to that, then that's the reason why.
Yeah, and we've had some crazy times at that club, haven't we? God, Ukrainian vodka and stuff. Ukrainian vodka and stuff.
Yeah, I do. I remember one, again, this is getting your cheeky side across, let's say. I think your dad was there as well, Baz. And we're on the Hetman, which is a strong Ukrainian
God, that stuff was crazy.
Vodka in it. I think we've been quite deep, drinking quite a bit anyway. And then I went to the toilet and I'm like, right, we're doing the Hetmans when we come back. And you'd line 4 up, and I love a challenge as well, so straight away necking them. And I think it was your dad or Marilyn. Remember Marilyn?
Yeah. She used to hate me.
Yeah, she goes, oh, just so you know, Adam, Stephen's putting water in. Bastard.
Yeah. So he used to go around giving everyone water, and
you were necking the water.
And I pretended mine were vodka and theirs were vodka and mine were water. I still love doing that.
Dirty tricks.
So then, funny them though.
Yeah, so then as you were saying there, Steve, you were getting onto the, so you saw the sportsman dinner, was it Neil Ruddock you went to see? Razor Ruddock?
In Bradford, yes. So obviously prior to that I'd just been doing little events, so I was getting a bit of a taste that I was quite good at putting events on, you know, trying to sell them out, and I just really enjoyed the after feeling of putting the event on, the event's a success, putting something else on. But I'd got into DJing around that time as well, so like I said, the defining moment for me, which will all come to the reason why I'm describing this, is I went to a sportsman's dinner in Bradford with Razor Ruddock, and I just remember the men in suits in there, very there were a lot of money flying around, you know, and I just thought, you know, this is crazy, you know, it's a high-end event, I'd love to get into doing something like this, but didn't think anything of it at that time, so I'd obviously left it, but it left an imprint in my mind. And then just continued. 24, 25 years of age, I felt a bit lost where the hell my life was going out drinking too much, that was affecting my semi-professional football. I was just lost. So I thought, I need to get out of here, you know, I need to get out of this little town of Halifax and maybe get away somewhere. So I did some research and found Xanta. So I thought, if I go away to Xanta, do some DJing, can get out there, earn some money, out in the sun, maybe find myself a little bit. So headed out there 2008, but first year, just crazy times, you know, absolutely mental times out there. You know, just fun and laughter and
everything that comes with that.
Everything that comes with that, But it just enabled me to find myself. But I were in no rush at that point to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, really, even at 25, 26 years of age.
Yeah, you're still a young man, aren't you, really, at that age?
Yeah, and then I went back the following year, 2009. Started to not go out as much, but start to think as an entrepreneur out there, thinking, right, okay, well, there's these other events going on in the island, the White Party, which they were doing this event every Sunday, and other events in the club. So I was thinking, right, okay, well, I need to do something out here to earn some money instead of €20 a night DJing at Cubanero's Beach Bar on the front, which was amazing, but I thought I want to try and
waking up with a horrendous hangover.
Yeah, exactly that. And then drinking another beer to get rid of that hangover. So yeah, I mean, 2009 were very similar, and then I ended up going back in 2010, which is quite a defining year of going out there to create an event called Shine. So I flew headline DJs out with me and a good friend Darren, created this brand called Shine, which we created a daytime beach party stroked into a nighttime club party. But I mean, cutting a long story short, it didn't go to plan. After I think the fourth event, we had to end up, you know, we were trying to do everything to stop the whole thing being cancelled, really. We had 10 events, running into event 4 and we were struggling. Politics on the island, ticket sellers selling tickets in different spots they're not supposed to be doing.
You say the reps run off for money sometimes as well.
It was just a crazy time, and it was my first experience of adversity and getting through resilience. Because it was just horrific. There's some of the stresses and strains of getting through that summer. Yeah,
I remember you telling me this the other day, and I also remember we was at Angie's wedding, then, weren't we? In Spain. Obviously, you're a jolly guy, aren't you? And I remember we were talking about something. You didn't snap, but you just seemed, I could see, bloody hell, Steve looks very stressed.
Oh, God,
it was something minor.
I was broken.
I see it then, but I didn't realise at the time from what you told me.
The one of many times I've been broken at the start of a long 14 years of being from 2010 to here today. I was just lost. You know, all I could think about is like a boxer losing a fight. All I could think about is I need to go back next year to correct this and correct that. But you know, one of the positives out of that time is I met my wife Lindsay out there. So she, you know, we came back and sort of went. I was just lost. I was heartbroken with the event being a failure. But, you know, I got myself back on my feet, started to practice about the law of attraction and all that type of stuff.
You read The Secret.
Read The Secret. And we went away to Portugal, and I'm thinking, I'm 27. I think I was 27 at the time. My CV's non-existent. So I couldn't get a job. I would try to get a job everywhere, but I find it very, very difficult.
Yeah, I remember you telling me there was You were data analysis for a bit,
Yeah, I
you?
did data analysis.
Just
horrific.
not you
No,
whatsoever.
it were horrendous. I did tried to get loads of different things up and running, but just struggled. I was just lost because I basically got to 27, 28 years of age, failed as a footballer really at that point. So you start to evaluate thinking, shit, how have I got to this point?
Yeah.
Back in cold England. A blessing was Lindsay became pregnant with Elenia, our firstborn, which was sort of a divine moment for me because it enabled me to think, right, it's not all about me anymore. I need to forget that, going back to Zante and living the dream, and focus on creating something for my firstborn. And that just lit a fire like unbelievable.
It does, mate. It certainly changes you becoming a father, doesn't it?
100%.
Like you just said there yourself, you know you've got someone else to look after, to feed. Yeah. But as you mentioned about failure there, and again we've talked about that quite a lot. Failure, you know, if you're not failing, you're not trying. And we've read the same book as well, Ant Middleton, like fantastic book, Zero Negativity, I'd say one of my favourite books.
I've got it down
he
there.
puts something in this. He mentions failure is not the end. Failure is merely a stepping stone towards success. 100%. I think that's a very powerful phrase. I've been to see him live when I'm in the army down in Wiltshire, and I'm going to see him in Halifax, Victoria Theatre in October with my mate Miles. And he's a very inspiring guy, but he really pushes failure in life. Yeah. And if you're not failing, you're not growing.
No,
it can lead you towards massive growth, can't it?
100%. And that's what we're going to be doing on this podcast with all the guests that we speak to, because adversity is the key to success.
100%.
However much it hurts.
Yes, mate.
I'm first-hand knowledge of that. And we'll just go back to, I wrote a vision down. I remember being in Portugal thinking, where do I want to be? And I thought, I want to work with celebrities. Don't know how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
No idea. I've done a first-hand who I'm going to do or how I'm going to do it. But I thought, if I write a blueprint, at least I've got a roadmap. I think I'd read maybe Arnie's book as well about having a vision and all that at that time. So I just wrote it down, 10-year plan. Said to Lindsay, we're going to get here in 10 years, and she's like, you've got absolutely no chance. How are you going to do that? So I don't know how,
but I'll get there.
But I'll make it happen no matter what. You know, so got back to the UK, got the data inputting job. At the same time, I was starting to build this vision. Got a website built for 100 quid or something. Started the social media page, which is an experience now with like 160,000 on it. Yeah. But I remember starting that page with just 2 likes. And I were embarrassed to share it because it had no likes on. But and obviously that just started then the ball rolling of you know, creating something. And that's when I got that memory of the Razor Ruddick event, thinking, right, well, I want to create sportsman's dinners here, but get women involved so they can be in the partners and add musicians and add a bit of class to the decor and all that type of stuff. And just managed to book Paul Gascoigne for my first event. Never had deposit money or nothing, I just blagged it. I remember being at this data inputting job, and the woman that were in office with me, I would pretend she was my secretary and stuff, because I had no track record of ever doing an event.
Yeah. That was a brilliant event, that was first on the hour at that one.
Yeah.
Really good event, yeah.
I did everything on my own.
I know, I remember you saying it, I didn't realise this till later as well. I did all that on your own. That's some planning, that, mate. That's
just everything, the whole pressure of it. But it worked, and it was a success, and it just snowballed from that, really.
Yeah.
Obviously got a lot more acts of a similar status as Gaza. Mike Tyson was my second event, which was pretty crazy to get in for second event.
It's a crazy story in that one, isn't it? I remember you telling me a couple of splits before it.
Yeah. So we come outside and he's just high as hell.
How did he do that? You know, like what were there, 500 people there or something? Were there more?
Yeah, 400.
Oh yeah, that's a couple of splits before coming and doing that.
Yeah, he was pretty high, but he's just a chilled out guy. But I had no contact with him. They were all through agents at that point who were bringing him over for UK tours at that time. So obviously things progressed from there. I realised that I need to get into the cities.
Yeah, Leeds were the one you want to run it.
So rather than being in Halifax doing 300, I thought I need to get into the cities and do maybe 1,000 plus. So I got a contact into Vinnie Jones. Did Vinnie Jones, which was a massive success. And then that led on to somebody knew Sylvester Stallone that I'd brought him to London before. And it's just, I look back now and I just think to myself, you know, it's each individual booking I'd always want to do bigger the next time. How I got into the A-listers is just, I mean, the risk I took is unmeasurable. I remember I got offered to do Stallone for the first event in 2014, and the management had said he's coming to do Expendables in 7 weeks, and his fee is a 6-figure fee. So I've gone from paying a 5-figure fee
the big door
to being asked for a significant amount of money, and it's like, geez, how are we going to do this? But me being me, I just, I'm like that. If we can get Stallone, get him on the website, it's going to set up things for the future. So
you do have that dogged determination about you, don't you? Like a dog with a bone, aren't you? You don't stop when you get something in your head.
No, but I knew even the early events we made no money whatsoever. Everything we're going back into the next event. It's like any business. You'd earn the money, struggled like mad, put it into the next one. Just weren't seeing any fruit really, and that's when I started to question myself, thinking, is this really worth it? Because I'm going through hell here. Obviously, young kids and everything else that goes with that. From an outside, people are seeing A-list celebrities and that you're a millionaire, but it just didn't work like that. With the fee you're paying them, plus the cost to put the event on, there's not a lot left. I found that out until I refined the model later down the line, type of thing. So
like you said before, hadn't you? Had no business training, nothing, did you? You've just got it. You've just gone and just done it. Haven't you?
Never been to business school. Never got any A levels. No idea how to run a company. No idea what company's house was.
You had the dream and the drive, didn't you?
I just set up and went along and learnt the hard way, as we're going to find out down the line through making mistakes. And that's the thing with setting companies up nowadays. Anyone could set one up. You could set one up today on Company's House. You don't need any checks, don't need any ID, you don't need any experience. You could set a company up, become a company director in probably 5 minutes. And that, I believe, needs to change, as I'm going to explain about my prison situation, of how there needs to be a basic course, just like a driving test, where you have to have some sort of business acumen to be able to run a business.
Makes sense.
Whereas now it doesn't happen. But I would to learn the hard way about that. So I've ducked and dived throughout the whole way, companies, but just learned the hard way.
Certainly have, mate, So that's leading us on to about 2014, 15 now, isn't it?
15, 16. So I got made personally bankrupt in 2016. This is where all the nightmare started for me. Through lack of experience, another promoter tied me in personally on a contract for £15,000. That's all it was. Some people get made bankrupt and they've got hundreds of thousands of pounds of debt, and they can make themselves bankrupt. So that leaves lots of people without the money, doesn't it? I want that. I had a creditor of 15 grand. She tied me in. I ignored it. I didn't take it serious. Got a statutory demand at the office. Ignored it just through my own ego, really, and.
Did you understand what all that was when it was coming through? Or you have no idea?
Didn't understand the consequences of what personal bankruptcy meant at that specific time. I knew I had no assets, so I was still living with my mum and dad, so I wasn't overly scared, because you hear when you go bankrupt you can lose your house and everything else. I thought, well, I ain't paying her 15 grand because she didn't deserve it. She tried to cite that Vinnie Jones didn't sit at the sponsors table and do photographs at her event that I subbed him out to, and I'm like, well, yes, he did. So it was a bit of a dispute. She tied me in personally, and it got to the bankruptcy hearing in Bradford. I went in, seen the judge, tried to give her an IVA for 500 quid a month for 5 years, which was 9 grand. She turned that down. I found out there were external forces that forced her to do that, because who'd turn down 9 grand and get nothing? So the judge made me bankrupt, and then I came out of the court not understanding the consequences of you can't really be acting as a director while bankrupt. Obviously, this is what leads on to the offence of being sent to prison. At the same time, I'd managed to book Conor McGregor, biggest name in the world at the time, huge, just beat Alvarez, 2-weight world champion.
It's peak really on it.
So I'm thinking, I'm not bothered about being bankrupt, I'll just pay it. After this next event in January 28th, 2017 was the Conor McGregor event. And I've left the court thinking that my IVA practitioner had said they're going to put an appeal in for the bankruptcy, which will be overturned. So in the meantime, you just carry on acting as a director, and we'll sort it out once the appeal decision comes back at the end of January. My mistake was I was still signing contracts in the lead up to the event, but I didn't do that with any intention to hurt anybody or whatever. I just did it because I genuinely thought I could do that. I had no experience to know that you can't do that, you know. Like I said, like I've just said before, if you completed a course to become a company director, just like when you do a driving license, and within that there was a section around personal bankruptcy, did you know that you cannot act as a director while you're bankrupt? Did you know that you could
Yeah, you had no idea whatsoever.
Custodial sentence if you did it? Do you understand the seriousness of it? You'd be ticking them boxes, you'd have passed that test, and I'd have known that at that time.
Thinking twice, wouldn't you, if you
100%.
if you knew that, yeah.
So that was just one segment of the reason, obviously, the prison situation occurred. So in the lead up to that event, I made a lot of mistakes with the budget for that event because it was a vast, again, me going from something to going bigger again. And we're talking 5,000 people in a dry hire venue called Event City. It's like an expo hall. So what that means is you're putting everything in there. There's nothing there. It's a shell. So you've got to put the drapes in, the lighting, the rigging, everything's paid for, and it's all added extras.
Yeah, so you had no idea that before.
So my budgeting going into that was not great because I didn't have the team, you know, that I have access to now. So my budgeting was well under what it should have been. Conor's fee was just astronomical for one night. Again, 6 figures, high end. Had his management in on a joint venture on it, which they promised they were going to bring big sponsors to the table, like Monster Energy and stuff, which never came to fruition. So we're getting close to the event now in January 28th, and I know I'm in trouble here. I can see it in black and white. You know, even if we were nearly sold out middle of January, and they're still out, you know, we're still not covered everything. So the saving grace in my mind was we agreed to do a pay-per-view at the event where Conor was 50% share on that. We were going to sell at $3.99, global pay-per-view. I mean, he was selling out weigh-ins at 60,000 people. Yeah, true, yeah. So I'm just thinking, you know, we're doing maths thinking, even if we get 50,000 buy-ins at $3.99, this is going to do well because it's a world-exclusive interview. He's going to be speaking about the Mayweather fight. He's just had a newborn son. There's a lot of exclusive there. So I'm looking at the budget thinking, well, that alone could get me out of the shit here when that comes off, but we're not going to know about that until the night of the event, how that's going to go. And another thing I had in there was a joint venture with the bar and food, with the venue on the bar and the food revenue share. So what that meant is I actually signed a contract with Event City that all the food and the bars sold within that event for 5,000 people was going to come back to us as a business. You do the maths.
Yeah, a lot of coins.
So you've got 5,000 people there drinking pre-event in a concourse area. You've got obviously all the dinner tables. Not only that, we created an after party within the same venue for 1,400 people. Again, we'd have a 50% share of that. So in the lead up to the event, even though we're struggling financially, I'm just thinking again with these little clicks in my mind, well, when that comes in from the bar and food revenue share, and when the pay-per-view comes in, irrelevant of anything else, we're going to do all right here. Because obviously the event had sold out and the ticket money and all that, we were struggling. So this leads on to the day before the event. I'm in my office. It's the 27th of January 2017. I'll never forget the day for the rest of my life. And I've pulled money from everywhere, but we still owed the venue 55 grand, and we still owed a streaming company 15 grand. Now they're the two important elements of the whole thing. And I'm thinking to myself, well, we're fucked here.
Yeah, I'm going to get this money now.
You know, how am I going to get this money? You know, I can't. If we don't send this money now, they're not even going to open doors. You know, we've got 5,000 people attending from all over the world, heading to the event. The venue's just continuously phoning saying, you know, we need this payment today, we're not going to open doors. The streaming company needed to happen because that was my saving grace. I'm thinking, where am I going to get this? How am I going to do it?
That's pressure, that, mate. That is
I remember being
pressure,
on the desk. I've got videos on my phone where I filmed it for reference.
Yeah. That's it. You don't want to let anyone down. Like you say, you've got 5,000 people knocking on the door wanting to come in. You're not going to want to let them people down, are you?
Exactly. So listen, the only thing I could potentially think to do, I had a good friend who was good on Photoshop. And, we created a delay tactic of sending the remittances that the money had been sent on the Friday with a view of it, giving us time, making the event go ahead. And on the Monday, we'd resolve the situation with the monies from the bar and food and the monies from the pay-per-view. That's the gospel truth of why it happened. Now, them two offences have put me in prison. That's what we're going to get to. So what I did there, even regarding the mitigation of why I did it, didn't gain from it, no premeditation. Offences of fraud, which that's what they've put on the indictment at certain elements, you gain from it. You plan it, you go and spend the money. There's people going out there doing it daily with credit cards. There's people out there doing it daily with, ripping people's pensions or whatever. I did this as a purely commercial decision to make that event go ahead, because what would have happened if I didn't do it? You've got 5,000 people unable to get into an event, dreams destroyed, losing all the money that were paid to Conor, losing all the monies paid out to every element of the event. It was pure desperation why I did it.
It affects your business as well, doesn't it? It's going to give you a bad name. So
yeah. So ultimately that decision has made me go to prison 7 years later. Yeah. That was the catalyst, them two offences, plus acting as a director while bankrupt. Now, obviously, the event went ahead. It was a massive success from the outside. Amazing event. Conor was amazing on stage. However, the pay-per-view failed, which as soon as it happened, I had to go and sit in car outside. I went in car for rest at night, just in bits. Because that was just like the final nail. And the reason being is Conor did not post the pay-per-view link until 20 minutes before going on stage. And he posted on Instagram where the link don't work. So that just meant the whole pay-per-view collapsed, because the people that could get it, I think there were 5,000 buy-ins, didn't even cover the cost.
So nobody, let's just get this right, nobody got to view that?
They did. We got about 5,000 buy-ins, where we were expecting if he'd have posted on his Facebook to his millions, even if he got a 0.1% of that.
Yeah, we got much more.
That would have got us out of the shit.
Figures,
So that was the nail in the coffin for me, because not only that, it were all over YouTube then, and everyone got it for free, so there were a lot of mistakes made on that pay-per-view. So then I've got to a point thinking, right, on Monday, once we get the share from the bar and the food revenues, there ain't going to be much debt left to Event City from the 55 grand. And, I didn't disappear. I immediately contacted them on the Monday and says, look, this has been a cash flow issue. Please, can you come back with your version of what the bar and food revenue share is, and then we can sort out what the debt's left. In my mind, I'm thinking there should be no debt anyway. You've got 5,000 people drinking in a venue till 4 a.m. Our share should be more than 50 grand. That went on for about 12 weeks. Unfortunately, the company that actually ran that specific event, it had to go into voluntary liquidation because there were just so many other elements that were unforeseen. And the venue eventually came back to me and says my share was 6 grand out of 5,000 people. And I've got all the emails because these were shown to the judge. And I'm like, well, how is that possible that there's 5,000 people and you're telling me my share is 6 grand? It's just not acceptable, this is a joke. So you've got 12 weeks worth of emails between Event City and me. And the reason I'm highlighting this is because that 55 grand is the reason I went to prison. If I could have proved they had no loss, it was impossible to send me to prison. But when we get later down the line too, when we went to court and stuff, Event City could never prove otherwise because, number one, they had no till and bar receipts because they made the event cash only. Number two, the passing of time, that company, Event City, was actually liquidated in the pandemic in 2020, so they don't even exist. And number three, due to the passing of time, there's no record of the till receipts. So for that reason, that account should have been wiped. And it should have been said that Event City actually suffered no loss. Yes, I did wrong with the remittance, I admit that. But I did it out of desperation. I didn't do it to gain off anything or anything like that.
You're not wanting to let 5,000 people knocking on the door, are you?
Exactly. So they couldn't prove otherwise. So that went on, and obviously that company went into liquidation, but I just carried on at that point. But after that event, I said to Lindsay, I'm quitting. This is it. This is the nail in the thing for me in events. I want to go and get a job. You know, I've been doing this since 2010, not really made any money. I'm making too many mistakes. That was the biggest one. And I nearly quit. I was just like, this is it. But eventually I licked myself off and think, right, I need to do one more time.
Touching on that again, did you anyone ever say anything to you about that? Like, did you get advice from your mum, your dad, your sister? Did they say, come on.
A lot of them were saying,
get a normal job.
A lot of them were saying, just give up. I was saying, I can't. Well, yeah, I can, but I can't. But what I did is I just did that same thing what I've done in Zante, and I had heartache, man. After I couldn't get out of bed again for 2 months after that McGregor event. It was horrific.
You licked your wounds, dusted yourself off.
So what I decided is, let's look at what went wrong here. The budget. Brought in a specialist to manage the budget. Brought in a new event manager to manage things more methodically. And I thought, right, okay, let's bring Arnold Schwarzenegger back, but do 2 cities instead of just one night only. So we can spread it over 2 nights, go back to an intimate setting of 1,000 people, and bring the quality back rather than this vast 5,000 people. Yeah. It's hard to manage. Did that, and again, it was a bit of a divine moment because Arnold was absolutely ecstatic. We sold out 2 events in Leeds and Birmingham in the September 2017, and he stood up in the restaurant in Birmingham, which you better show a clip on this after. Gave me exclusive rights to all his UK visits because at that point we'd done 5 events with him. He was just absolutely over the moon the way we were looked after him, not just at the event but our team in general.
I do around 10, 15 speeches a year, but I always enjoy coming over here to England. You are now the one that has the exclusive right to bring me over here to do speeches. And Stephen and I even talked about doing the Arnold Classic here in England. And so we're going to talk about that and get into it because it will be great.
Then that's for the first time he spoke about the Arnold Sports Festival, you know, because I'd said to him in the green room a few times, Arnold, you need to bring this event to the UK because there's no fitness event like that in America, in the UK. You know, the largest health and fitness event he'd had in America, I wanted to bring it to the UK. So he'd said it on camera, and I remember my dad, you know, we're nearly crying at restaurant because all that adversity for 7 years had just disappeared in one moment. I thought, well, you know, this is it now.
Top of the world.
I were on top of the world, yeah. Because I knew we'd cracked it with the event format. Arnold had said what he'd done. And it was just a divine moment. And then from that moment onwards, and I've said this before the legal situation happened, my graph's just literally gone stratospheric. Literally. The next year we did Stallone in London and Birmingham for his birthday. Fantastic. Top range reviews. Everyone paid. Fantastic success. Sly absolutely loved it. Then we brought in Robert De Niro, 2 nights with him, world exclusive events. First time he'd ever done a public interview. So it was sort of snowball effect. So at that point there, I'm 6 events in from the McGregor event thinking, that was a mistake for McGregor.
At this point, Steve, you thinking that's in the past?
I'm thinking that's in past.
That's going to be forgotten about now.
I'm thinking that's going to be forgotten about. Yeah, it was a mistake. I didn't mean to do it. However, I got a letter through the post at the office from the insolvency service saying the allegations of you've been thinged by Event City and the streaming company of acting as a director while bankrupt and obtaining services dishonestly. They were the 3 counts they'd said. And on there, they invited me to a voluntary interview. So remember, there's no police involved in my legal situation. I never got arrested. You know, there's no CPS involvement. This is the insolvency service who govern companies. So they presented this letter. Do you want to come in for a voluntary interview to discuss some stuff, evidence we've got on these counts? I should have never gone to that interview. I should have just thrown it in bin.
At that point, did you go with no representation? Just went on your own?
Went with no solicitor, just because I thought I'd be open and honest. And one point I want to make across is when you're personally bankrupt, the following 12 months you're out of your bankruptcy. So I was legitimately producing events from that Arnie event, because I was out on my bankruptcy. It only lasts 12 months.
12 months.
And the bankruptcy was finished. That was out of the way. I've done 6 successful events. That's turned up in post, and I should never ever have gone to that interview. Don't know why to this day I went, but that is one of the worst mistakes of my life. So I headed into Leeds on my own, without a solicitor, straight up into normal office block. Sat down with 2 guys. They're offering me tea and biscuits and stuff like that. And they've just got out the file, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just saying exactly, I'm told them exactly what I've told you, the reasons I did it. So they had me banged to rights on the remittance.
So at that point, did you realise you were bang in trouble?
Halfway through, I just remember blood rushed to me, and honestly, I nearly fainted. I was just like, oh my God.
Did you say they recorded it as well?
Yeah, it was like a proper interview, like what you have in a police station, but it wasn't a police station.
Yeah.
But when it's not in a police station, you don't understand the severity of it. Yeah. But halfway through, I thought, I'm in trouble here. But never did I imagine that it would lead to prison. I'm just thinking, you know, it were a mistake.
Yeah, honest mistake.
But it was an honest mistake, commercial. You know, I've not done it intentionally, I've done it out of desperation. So I came out of there, and I've just continued then, because they just said, right, we're going to send it to our lawyers above. They'll look at it, and if they want to proceed, it's up to them. So I was like, all right. At this point, I've spoke to a solicitor. We've got a transcript of the interview, and they said, you're in trouble. You know, I don't know if they're going to prosecute or not, but you know, you need to be careful, type of thing. So then we've hit the pandemic, 2020. I know 2019 carried on as normal. I think we did another 3 successful events with Stallone, all perfect. 2 events with Arnie, again in Wales and Birmingham, all perfect.
So how's that come about with COVID? How's that affected the business as well?
Struggle.
Obviously you can't get anyone.
Yeah, so then we hit COVID in 2020. So now, with 2 years past from when I went to that voluntary interview, I'm thinking, well, they ain't going to prosecute
It's
that.
gone, yeah.
It's gone. So we hit pandemic 2020. Obviously, it was a crazy time, like for anyone. And at that time, I'd managed to put an experience with on the side a little bit, but it gave me focus for the sports festival, which we'll come back to obviously at a later stage of how the sports festival came about and how I got that, you know, 60,000 people event. Don't have any experience to do it. Yeah, I took it on and built a team to create an unbelievable event on the back of Arnold's testimonial and working with him 7 times. Everything perfect, all photos done. Unbelievable testimonials that I got from him over the years. So what the pandemic enabled me to do is focus just on building that sports festival and the back-end structures for a launch at the end of 2021. Again, we get to the end of 2020, gone out to post box, open post box, letter, opened it up, charge sheet, 5 counts, 2 count acting as a director while bankrupt, 2 counts of obtaining service dishonestly. And what they'd done is they'd sent a woman called Sarah Heath into the office in 2018, and she'd gone through all the files and everything else. She found 2 invoices, one for $5,000 and one for $2,500, saying that I should not have invoiced the liquidator business for McGregor for them 2 amounts. And we're talking $7,500, mate, do you know what I mean? I didn't know that I could not do that. So they added them onto the indictment. So in the grand scheme of it, do you understand? It's not,
Totally get you.
It's not a crazy, there's people out there, hundreds of thousands from HMRC, committing frauds and everything that they don't go to prison.
So when you got this, did you keep it to yourself or?
I got it and nearly fainted. I was just like, because it said appear at Huddersfield Magistrates Court. And I knew I were in trouble because obviously at this point, my profile's rising, you know, I'm online, got a good online presence. We're promoting the Arnold Sports Festival. I'm actually in business with Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know. Yep. Eddie Hall came on as a partner. And I'm thinking, you know, if this gets out in public domain, people are going to twist it. That was the first thing. But I just thought I'll turn up at magistrates, no one's going to know about this. I think I'd messaged Arnold's people just to make them aware. I think I messaged Eddie as well, because obviously I just, we needed to be transparent on that. And then turned up at Magistrates Court and there were a photographer there. And I thought, it can't be that. It's not for me. Gone in there, pled not guilty initially. Again, not really understanding the severity of it. Yeah. Pled not guilty, and they said, right, because it's classed as an either way offence, we'll push it to Crown Court. So it went to Leeds, Crown Court. Came out, was photographer. Fucking shit myself.
Was you aware that obviously if it's going to Crown Court, it's very serious?
Yeah, I'm just like, the pain and anxiety of thinking I've built all this up. I've got myself back up the feet from bankruptcy. This is all could potentially be taken away from me. Yeah. So I was looking at all options. Do I plead guilty and just get it over with, but the solicitors were saying, take it to Crown and take it as long down the funnel as you can potentially go on it. But I mean, that one photographer caused me so much damage because that one news article, it was only in the Huddersfield Examiner, people was spreading it around straight after that. Ex-footballer in court for 5 counts of fraud, they put it, which...
Yeah, hammering you.
When I'm telling you what it's about, it's not really that, is it? But people are putting 2 and 2 together, making out 1,000.
Dramatising it.
So that caused... That was the sort of the start of the decay of what I'd achieved. However, the process was so long throughout the court because of COVID. So I just carried on in 2021. We produced the first Arnold Sports Festival, world-class event, sold it out.
Birmingham DC, wasn't it? Yeah.
6 months before we sold it out. Yeah. Brought Stallone, GSP.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Khabib.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, it was massive. The scale of it was enormous.
Yeah, huge event, and I did that with all this legal stuff in the background. So there wasn't that much noise about it at that point, because what they'd done is I appeared at the court and they pushed it to a trial due to take place in June 2022. You think to yourself, how is this a trial? There's murderers out there that have trials, or people causing crazy crimes, yet I'm up for going to trial over a commercially bad mistake. So we come into end of 21. The festival was a massive success. Unfortunately, Arnold couldn't attend due to a leg injury, so he was very accommodating. Came on the screens at the event. He apologised he couldn't make it on his social media. Thanked me and Eddie. And again, gave me rave reviews on the screens. It's been a fantastic event. I can't wait to come next year.
I cannot wait working with Stephen and Eddie, and they have been fantastic promoters. I just want to say I thank the world of Stephen. What a great promoter he has been, how great he is to work with. But of course, it's no surprise to me because he has organized so many speeches for me over there in England. And, he's just he just knows what people like and what they like to see and what they like to hear. And he's wonderful to work with. And Eddie, of course, one of the world's strongest men. What a great promoter also, and multi-talented. So thank you very much to all of you for the great work that you've been doing.
Very proud, yeah. Said 6 times on the screen, he'll see you in 2022. But, it were all just a crazy time. I think we did Mel Gibson at the end of 21 as well, which is a world exclusive. Again, wasn't thinking too much about the legal thing at that point.
Is that the one where you interviewed him?
No.
That's not the one, though.
We did, that was 2022, okay. So it was the following May. It was the one in London. And then at the end of 2021, I've flown out to America to interview Sylvester Stallone for the streaming platform that we created, which I'm sat there thinking, 10 years ago...
How have I got myself here?
10 years ago, I'm in the job centre.
Signing on.
And now I'm sat here on West Palm Beach interviewing the one and only Sylvester Stallone.
Tell us, Steve, go back to that. How did that feel?
Just absolutely madness.
Yeah.
Like madness. And I only decided I was going to interview him on the plane because I've never interviewed anyone in my life. So
Shitting yourself.
Yeah. So I was on plane for 11 hours and I thought, right, okay, I think I could do this. So I started to write all questions down on the plane, just really obscure questions about failure, adversity, all that type of stuff. And yeah, the interview was a massive success. And then obviously we're in 2022 now, and that's when the rot really started. Then that's when I could see this could go west now, because
realisation of it.
The trial was up and coming. I started to get a lot of jealous ex-employees, competitors, trolls, starting to spread news articles around the exhibitors of the festival, causing unrest, saying this guy's going on trial on 26th of June. What does that do? It causes unrest, it causes non-confidence, sponsors pulling out, all this type of stuff. Yeah, at that point I couldn't defend myself. I couldn't say, no, you're wrong. This is not from current business. This is from 7 years ago. You know, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
You can't judge me on 7 years ago.
One mistake.
When this, you know, this is not current business. So there were a lot of forces playing in the back end. Didn't see eye to eye with a representative of the Arnolds from America. I wish I could go back in a time machine and be a bit more receptive to this person, rather than having a big ego and thinking he's out to steal things or whatever. I should have worked with him more, and I didn't, and that's my fault. So that caused a lot of friction there. So that was another cog that affected that event. And then we just progressed throughout 22, went to the trial date.
Which was that? Is that Leeds?
Leeds, 26th of June. And what you've got to understand is this is 2 years this has been hanging over our head. You know, my wife's suffered, my kids have suffered. You know, it's unmeasurable anxiety. It's horrendous.
Very stressful.
So I went to the day of trial with a view to plead not guilty and go to trial with it. I just thought, you know, I need to clear this no matter what, whatever it's going to take. However, I turned up on the day of trial, and they said due to barrister strikes, due to the COVID situation, they were going to push it back into 2023. And I just thought, I can't have this over my head anymore. I can't. This needs to be a conclusion. So I agreed with the prosecution on a plea deal to accept the 5 counts, but basically that I'd only accept the Event City count of 55 grand on the plea basis they did not suffer any loss due to the fact of the bar and revenue food share. Now, if that would have been had it as it was supposed to be, that means that the only loss that anyone would have occurred is the 15 grand to the streaming company. And in the grand scheme of things, it's not crazy, because the 2.5 grand and 5 grand invoices were all internally billed, so there's no one involved in them. So I accepted those and pled guilty. So I'm thinking, well, at least there's closure here. The judge says your sentence is on the 11th of August that year.
So how far is that? Sorry, that's going from June
to August.
So
yeah.
you've got that hanging over you.
As soon as I came out of that hearing, the shit hit the fan, because what happened then is, because I pled guilty, and then troll pages were popping up calling me a fraudster, he's guilty, he's admitted it, this and this. So it sort of blew up. And it blew up with all the exhibitors, it blew up with the sponsors, and the festival was in September. So I'm thinking, how the fuck, this is crazy. I'm not a fraudster. I've never done anything to...
These fucking brave keyboard warriors, mate.
Yeah, and that's the first time I've ever suffered with trolling. It's horrendous, because they know they can hide the face and who they are really, and there's nothing you can do about it, because of the amount of times my team tried to flag stuff up on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and they did nothing. They've still done nothing.
These are the type of people, though, they'll say this, they'd never say it to your face, but behind the screen they're all big and hard, aren't they?
Yeah.
Shit houses.
100%. So I knew then that was the start of the craziness then, because it just all started kicking off then. 11th of August came, and they postponed it, the sentencing hearing. So that, you know, I'm thinking, well, that's good, at least we can get the festival and make the festival go ahead and everything else. The lead up to the festival was the worst time of my life, because we couldn't get confirmation whether Arnold were actually going to attend. Yeah. So I've got track records of emails from January that year trying to get confirmation of his attendance. Bearing in mind, he'd said 6 times on the video in 2021 he'll be there. He'd confirmed that everyone had had photos with him, would carry over to the following year. It were all there in black and white. However, I could not get confirmation from the representatives I were dealing with that he was actually going to come in 2022, which obviously if he didn't turn up for his event for 2 years running, it's a catastrophe. And we all knew that, everybody knew who was associated with the brand knew that that was going to be a catastrophe, yet it only seemed to be on my shoulders and nobody else's. So we've gone down a route of, I'm not getting confirmation right up until, you know, the week of the event. And I still don't know whether he's attending or not. And you've got people coming from all over the world to have their dreams with their hero. And I can't give the answer if he's officially coming because they've not confirmed it and they haven't said he's not. Bearing in mind, we've done 7 events with Arnold over the years. He's never been not complaining about payments. He's done all his photo obligations. Everything's been absolutely perfect. Created an unbelievable relationship with myself and him and his team.
Everything is fantastic. I just wanted to know that this has been the best organized event that I've been to. No, I'm just telling you, I was just bragging when you were not there to them, both of them at the dinner. I said yesterday, I said by the second, everything was exactly the way it was planned. I mean, I was told you come down the steps, you stop there, then the room will fill up with smoke, then the door will open up, and this. Every single thing happened exactly on time.
Fantastic.
It's really amazing. And then, of course, the hostess, Jenny.
Jenny, you know, she's good,
she's fantastic,
Yes, it's the first time I'm in Scotland, and I think that's the reason why when Steve invited me to come and to speak here today, that alone was enough reason. First of all, because he's a really organized guy and a great promoter, and I've worked with him before, so that's number one.
However, with the festival, it was a different team and we just could not get confirmation. I work on 12 weeks confirmation for an experience with an A-lister, so we can know exact movements for 12 weeks prior. Jet, hotels, close protection. If you go past that 12 weeks, then it's going to affect the whole schedule. So I'm now a week out from that festival and I don't even know whether he's attending, Adam. And how do you think the pressure with that must have been? Unmeasurable. And the worst thing is then we're getting requests to pay him a fee, a 6-figure fee to attend his own event, even though he's never been paid to attend any other Arnold festivals.
So yeah, you didn't know that were in pipeline at all?
No,
that just came?
No chance.
Surprise.
That turned up a week before. Then we got told that even if he came, we got confirmation he was coming because he was going to Germany for the Holocaust Memorial Day. So I was quite happy with that because I thought, well, at least he's going to be coming over on a jet in Germany. He's only a 2-hour flight away. So he's in Europe anyway. He's definitely coming back on the Sunday. There's no way he's not coming. I just had no thing that he wasn't going to turn up or whatever. All right, yeah. And then we got, like I said, we got a request for a fee. We got told that even if he comes or whatever, he's not going to do the photos with the fans, which had been planned for 2 years. So I'm thinking, well, all right, how's that going to work out then? You know, he's going to go to the bodybuilding finals for 30 minutes and that's it. And that he'd be arriving on 5 p.m. on Sunday when the event's finished. I've got all the evidences. I've got like an email message when it came through and I'm just like, this is just disbelief. You know, this guy knows how I work and my team works. We've done 7 events with him. This is ridiculous. He's never been paid to attend an event. The license agreements is profit share. Why would we be paying a fee? So anyway, it just went on back and forth, emails, and you know, eventually it got to a point the night before the event, they sort of went quiet because I sent a big email back counteracting everything they'd said, and then I just went to bed that night, the night before the festival, thinking, he's coming. There's no way he's not coming. You know, he's in Germany. They haven't replied. They haven't replied because they probably know the points I've made legitimate and counteractive to everything they've said. So I remember being in the hotel in I think it's 21st of September 2022. Just got out of bed thinking, you know, tomorrow's the day of the main festival. It's going to be an amazing event. We've got David Goggins coming. We've got, you know, Michael Bisping, Sugar Ray Leonard, Wim Hof, all these people. It's going to be an amazing second-year event. Woke up at 6 a.m. in hotel, checked my phone, fucking messages going mental. And I'd found out that they posted on the Arnold page a big statement saying Arnold's not going to be attending for the second year running. I was just destroyed.
Yeah, it's caused chaos.
Oh, I was destroyed, Adam. The pain, honestly, I can still feel the pain, the pressure now. And I'm just like, this is just absolute madness.
I'll bet,
The second year running, he's not attended. And I knew things had been twisted to stop him attending for some whatever reason or whatever.
A lot of snakes in that industry, isn't there?
Crazy. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even think. I couldn't even get out of the hotel room at one point. The anxiety.
Just crippled by anxiety.
Oh, crippled. Like, I can't even... That is probably one of the most intense moments of my life, knowing that there's these people travelling from all over the world to meet the hero. Bearing in mind, I'd already done 7 events and we'd made thousands of dreams come true with him. All seamless, perfect. And this one time I'm not in control and these people are going to come and I can't do anything about it. You know, and it's just, it snowballed after that. You know, obviously the event went ahead even without his attendance, which was a massive success. However, I was the one that had to pick up all the shit after it. You know, people asking for refunds for photos, bearing in mind all the money's gone into the festival itself. I don't have any access to that. You know, that money doesn't just sit in an account and you run off with it. That money goes into the festival. In fact, that money was paid for them photos back in 2021 because 90% of the photographs carried over to the 2022 event when he didn't turn up in 2021. Do you know what I mean? So when the money's in a business for that long, you don't just have it aside to be able to go, okay, there's all your refunds.
Yeah, it's put back in.
So we tried everything to mitigate the refunds, you know, offering experience with credit notes and, you know, we did refund quite a number of them through other cash flow avenues and stuff, but the aftermath, mate, fucking hell, crazy. You know, and that was a dark time then, leading up to an event with Stallone for an experience with in LA for our first event in LA. But I was so hurt after that festival. It was again one of the moments of crippled, couldn't get out of bed for 2 weeks. Yeah. Lindsay was very, very worried.
Yeah, and obviously you've got the court case looming as well.
The court case is looming. That got cancelled again in October that year. I'm crippled by anxiety after that event. That Arnold Festival I just destroyed because, you know, I'd lost everything what I'd ever worked for. I knew we couldn't do a third year event because me and this representative didn't get on. So I'd had the rug ripped from something I'd worked 7 years for, thinking I can't do my third year event. You know, I'm going to get through this. The anxiety, mate, and the stress and the pressure after that time was unbelievable.
Tell us about that, Steve. Did that affect everyday life?
Everything. Couldn't get out of bed at times, and I only felt safe under my covers. But at that point, I still had an experience with. We had Stallone coming up in LA. I couldn't even think about that. I thought, how are we going to do this event with him in LA, our first USA event? Because that was supposed to be like, you know, put a second year successful event on, get to America, smash the Stallone event and go home. So that led on to the event with Stallone, which was, you know, it was a fantastic first American event, but we just had a few issues with the photographs. And again, you know, these are unforeseen issues. He had obligations to go out for dinner after, and you know, there's a lot of people that are watching this that said that we've overbooked the photographs, but we only booked the same amount of photos we've had with Stallone for our previous 6-7 events we've done with him before. Every time, again, like Arnold, everything perfect. Unfortunately, we got a certain way through the photos in LA and he left. Nothing I can do about it. You know, he's got obligations. He retired. So we got a lot of wrath for that after. So they sort of jumped on the Arnold bandwagon. What you're getting now is like sort of a little bit of a click saying, oh, well, we're owed refunds for them photos. We're owed them from the Arnold photos.
Trolls are back.
And the trolls were back. It would just create momentum behind the scenes. And I'm like this massive villain of, I planned it. Yeah. I've oversold the photos and planned that you didn't get your photo. Why would I do that? You know, all I want to do is create an event where people have the dreams come true. I've done that for 10 years and we've made thousands of dreams come true. You know, all the Stallone events that we've been seamlessly perfect, including the interview I did with him in Florida. You know, there's a strong relationship there. Again, we couldn't, you know, we did the LA event. You know, we worked through the refunds. We tried our best to mitigate it because it was such a shock. But when you're in events and these unforeseen circumstances happen, it's very difficult to navigate through. And I was still on the back end of the Arnold Festival type thing. But again, I got through it. hit January last year. And my sole aim was to get my mental health right. I think we went away to Switzerland with my wife just to recoup for my 40th. And I sort of healed again. I thought, right, okay, now I'm just going to focus on growing experience with back. Bigger than ever. We had Al Pacino in London in the middle of April. 2,000 people, sold out. We had other events with him around the UK. Unfortunately, they got postponed at the time due to his schedule. So what we did is moved a lot of those to that one event, mitigated it, and the others we were going to reschedule. You know, that was the plan. And then we're leading up to June this time last year. I've sort of felt, you know, I'm coming out the other end here. The big names booked for June, another massive name booked for next March. This time last year, I'm just thinking I'm out the other end, knowing in my mind that I've got this sentencing hearing coming on the 3rd of August last year. So again, black cloud. It's caused a lot of friction between my family, and my wife and my kids, because you know it's like when it's there, it's there. It's not going anywhere.
Very true.
However, all the interviews with the solicitors, you know, all the mitigation, which I mentioned earlier, 15 character references from 7 years worth.
You must have had a hell of a lot of mitigation there.
15 character references from all the venues I've worked with since Event City, which is, you know, significant. 15 successful events since that time. All the charity work that I've done in the past, you know, donations from the company to the Children's Heart Surgery Fund.
Yeah, Red Cross as well, yeah.
Climbing Scarfield Pike 9 times for Ukraine. Scamming in steps 105 times for mental health charity. And I don't do these things, I just do it because I enjoy to give back. That's what my nature is. And that's all part of mitigation. The judge is supposed to take that into consideration of how positive can you be to the society. Dependent wife and 3 young children, which prison was going to catastrophise. By sending me to prison is going to cause chaos in their lives for their mental health. My wife fully depends on me and me providing for the family. It's just endless. I accepted and went to a voluntary interview, so I cooperated from the beginning. I didn't just ignore him. I could have just fucked that off, but I didn't. So that's, again, mitigation. Never gained from it. No public involvement. No premeditation. Tried to pay the 2 businesses back, even though they owed me on the bar and food revenue share. Paid them $5,000 out of my own money, just to hold them off. Tried to arrange payment plans for up to 6 months after the events took place. So that to me is not a prisonable offence. How is it? So I went to the sentencing hearing, turned up to court with my car. We'd just been on a camping trip. This time, come to August last year. We're on a camping trip. I said to Lindsay, I'll see you tonight. I love you loads. This is the end of the nightmare, you know. You can just get on with our lives. This is the finality of it. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, fucking, I'm just going to go in there. If it gives me suspended sentence, there's going to be another news article. That's fine. Now we'll deal with that as we get in there. Turned up to court, did my probation interview in the court, and based on all the mitigation and everything, she said, I'm going to stand up to the judge and tell him it should be a community service, this, or a fine, or dual, or whatever. And again, in that report, I said, no matter what, even though that Event City liquidated, I will do anything to pay them 2 businesses back. I couldn't pay them back through the proceedings because you can't contact witnesses. So all along I said I'll pay them back even though they don't exist. Gone into the cafeteria with my laptop, planning next week. My car's outside, no prison bag. I don't even know what prison's about. I've never been to prison. I've never even been arrested before in my life. You know, I'm just not when I threw snowballs at taxi in fucking Halifax that time. But apart from that,
nothing major.
I'm in cafeteria, ready to go into the hearing. Went into the hearing. Obviously, my barrister's done his mitigation. Insolvency Service have done theirs. Didn't think out else of it. Is everything all right? Yeah? Didn't think out else of it. Judge is just going on and on and on and on. Didn't get on with him from day one. You know, they were just. I don't know what it was. It was mad. It really was. Next minute, I'm in dock. Just fucking give me 27 months. Immediate custody. I was absolutely despaired. remember just being at dock and
Take your time, mate. Take your time.
And the guard next to me.
Yeah, obviously a massive shock to the system when you heard that devastating news. So did they take you straight from there onto the GOA move on?
So guard just stood up next to me and says, "You coming with me, son?" I says, "What do you mean?" And he says, "You've just been given 27 months. I says, "What do you mean 27 months? He says, you've been given 27 months custody." And I said, "Well, what?" I said, "What about my wife and my kids? Do you know what I mean? What does that mean?" And then, yeah, I knew I were in big trouble then. So he took me straight downstairs into holding cells. Fucking anxiety, mate, were unbelievable. Yeah. But like, that time in the hotel after Arnold's times 10,000, you know what I mean? I'm sat in there, my world's just gone. And I'm thinking, you know, what about, all I could think about is like, what about Lindsay kids? What the fuck am I going to do here? Yeah. And just in like a little cell, and they take everything off you. I'm just thinking, I just couldn't believe what was going on. It was just like an out-of-body experience, you know what I mean? And yeah, they just, you know, I can't even describe the fucking, it was just horrific. So I just said to guards, I said, "Well, what does this mean?" You know, and they says, "You're going to Armley," and I'm like, "Well, what's, you know, fucking new Armley, you hear stories about it all the time, you know, category B, remand jail." And my solicitors had come down, my barrister had come straight down, and they were just shocked. And, you know, they're going on about an appeal straight away, you know, we're going to put an appeal in. So in my mind, I'm thinking, right, well, fucking hell, we're going to put an appeal, I'll be out next week. Yeah. Not knowing that an appeal's useless, you know, it doesn't mean absolutely nothing. Because obviously 7 months down the line, my appeal hasn't even been heard. So, yeah, the barristers are in shock. They've they said we're putting an appeal in. So that sort of gave me hope. I'm just, I can't even think straight, mate. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here? So, like I said, the next minute, one of them vans turn up and they just take me to Armley. I'm going up to Armley, just in shock. Just in shock, like, just thinking this is just absolutely madness. I think my body actually shut down. Everything just shut down. That's all I can say. It's just a total and utter shutdown of your motor neuron body. Turned up at Armley. You got like a reception area, so you're getting checked in and all that type of stuff. And, you know, again, it's just, you're just
full search.
Yeah, it's full search. Everything, you're just in disbelief.
Yep.
Check you in. And again, at this point, I'm thinking, I'm getting out next week on appeal, I'll be fine. And then, yeah, just taken into Armley, you know, category B, remand jail, murderers, sex offenders, drug dealers, fucking rapists, mass fraudsters, proper fraudsters, you know what I mean? Every possible criminal you could potentially think of, I'm in there with initially, and I'm just like, this is just unbelievable.
Yeah. So, well, this is pretty raw and emotional for you. It's taking you back. Tell me about that first night when you banged behind your door.
Yeah, just claustrophobia, because it's like massive metal door, 8x6 cell, foot cell, two of us in there.
So your first night on induction wing, there were 2 years.
Yeah. Another guy called Andre, we called, good guy. He helped me, to be fair, because he'd been in before. But Gigi, I'm just couldn't ring Lindsay or kids or anything because I didn't. They don't allow you credit initially. I think, in fact, I rang them. They allowed you £1 credit on that first night. So I rang up.
Put your pin phones on straight away.
Yeah, but that were it then, because it was Thursday. I couldn't get credit till Monday, so I couldn't speak to Lindsay kids or anything for 3 days. So I had to suffer all weekend knowing that they were all right. Yeah. But that first night, mate, just horrific. Just the anxiety through every inch of my body. Try to go process everything of what does this mean, you know, how have I ended up here? Rock hard mattress, rock hard pillow, got them itchy blankets.
Orange blankets.
That's blankets, yeah. And, just unbelievable, just a disbelief, man. I don't know how I've got through it, mate, if I'm honest.
Yeah, so you've gone from the highest of highs, interviewing Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all these guys, to the absolute depths of hell.
Despair, yeah.
Depths of despair, depths of hell.
Yeah.
What are you thinking when you're in jail after being so high to in there?
Just how fucking hell has this happened?
Yeah.
Trying to go back to them key moments of the voluntary interview. Should I have pled guilty earlier, or should I have done this, or could I have done that differently? The bankruptcy was the catalyst. If I could go back in a time machine and pay that 15 grand, this would never have happened. So it were a lot of living in the past.
Questioning everything.
Just questioning everything, because you can't think of how else. You're just there looking at a wall.
You've got time, haven't you? You've got plenty of time in there to think.
Absolutely destroyed of claustrophobia. Yeah. And I'm just thinking to myself about my business, about what I've built. I'm thinking about, I'm worrying about Lindsay and the kids. I'm worrying about just all my family and just everything else that's come with that. You know, that's all you can think about. It's just hell on earth. There's no other words for it.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. So you started Armley, which is Cat B, and they moved you over to Wheelston.
So I was in
Cat C.
So I've locked up in Armley for 23 hours a day for 7 weeks.
Middle of summer as well.
23 hours a day. Read a lot of books, but just despair really. But I got to a point where I thought, right, okay, I've got two options. Either like I've done throughout my whole life, I crumble, or I'm going to fucking rise stronger than ever. So I started to I think I ordered a pad on the canteen, you call it, and started then to write my visions. And I thought, right, okay, well, I want to create a podcast when I get out. I think that's going to be good to get my version of events out. How can we do this differently? How can I do that differently? How can I create this? Started doing stuff like that to give me a little bit of focus. And then just brick by brick inside. Like every time I were all right is when I rang Lindsay and kids and she were all right, and my mum and dad and that. Then I'd be all right for the rest of the night. But with that one phone call every day, that I'd need to make sure everything were right at home. But also what I did is made sure I just went running around the yard every day to keep my mental health right.
Yeah, 100%, mate.
And yeah, just grinded through it. But, you know, thinking, how am I going to get through it? I found out there were a few press articles that come out that were slanderous, putting stuff in that weren't true, which hurt, because obviously I knew about it when I were in there. Because again, the public twist things, don't they? They read things and don't realise the truth or whatever. So we're in the process of, you know, going legal route with a few of those articles, which is what it is, but they definitely jumped on it because of the early celebrities.
Yeah, of course, man.
You know, calling me a con man and stuff. How am I possibly a con man when the offences are from 7 years ago and don't involve the public? And I've done 15 successful events since the offences took place. How am I a con man? It's not fact, is it? So, and for that reason, that is liable. That's slander. But again, the trolls loved it. People coming out of woodwork everywhere after that sentencing hearing. It was horrific, mate. And my kids and my wife and my family suffered for that. And I'll never ever forget that. But yeah, after Armley went on to Wheelston, which is in Wetherby, it's a category C, which is a little bit better, and you know the doors are open a little bit longer, but still you're in jail. It's not a good place, man. It's low. The energies are low. It's a difficult, hard, harsh environment. So many different.
So talk to me about that. You've touched on it there, Steve. So what got you through it? Would you say obviously you're doing your writing, you're doing your gym, you're getting out on yard, doing some laps around. Is that what kept you going?
Yeah, but I think for me as well, I believed that the appeal was coming through. So every week I remember being in that first week, and I've got Harry Moss, who's a Lithuanian guy, in with me, and he's like, "Are you all right?" I says, "Mate, don't worry about me." I says, "My appeal's going to be coming through." And he's going, "What? What is this appeal?" And I went, "Mate, I've got an appeal." I says, "They'll be letting me out next week." And he's like, "What is this appeal?" And like I said, little did I know that appeal's it's fucking useless. But that's what got me through. Because every week I'm thinking, well, next week it's coming, next week it's coming, next week it's coming. Before you know it, I'm in the open prison category D in Thorn Cross. I went in November. It's close to Christmas now and no appeal. Then we're into January, no appeal. February, I got my release date for 22nd of March. So by that point, I'd got through the worst by thinking the appeal were coming through. Just difficult in there, mate. It really, really is. It really is like the biggest test of my life ever in any way, shape and form.
I think you might come back to this one day though and realise it's going through that kind of hardship, toughened mentally. You've got to be tough to get through that, and you might look at it as a positive in a few years.
Yeah.
Because it's going to get you where you want to be.
Yeah.
And more.
I think prison is just so underrated of the damage it can do though, and this is not right how judges can send non-violent offenders or those to prison without any thought of the family and kids. That's what the damage they cause. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I've got my kids asking where their dad is and stuff. And listen, I did what I did, and I'm sorry for that. Yeah. I made a mistake. I owned that from the day it happened. We all make fucking mistakes.
Absolutely. You've been a man, you're owning it.
Everybody makes mistakes. But does that really mean that I had to go to prison for it? I don't believe that it did. And that's me owning up and being the victim. That's me saying, right, well, them offences were 7 years ago. Look at what he's done since then. Everything's been perfect. Why castigate someone 7 years worth from offences from so long ago? And literally I could have done something silly in there, you know, but I would never do that. I would never ever do that because I don't quit. But yeah, it's just been a crazy journey, mate. Obviously, I've come out. I got released on the 22nd of March this year, which was, you know, hard. You'd think when you come out, it's all going to be amazing, but I've been out 11 weeks. It's probably been the hardest 11 weeks of my life.
Yeah, harder than jail.
At times, the first 5 weeks out were horrific. Anxiety through my roof. Yeah. Coming to terms with everything, trying to rebuild everything, trying to go around the rubble to think, right, okay, well, what do I need to do next? Trying to repair my family, trying to spend time with my kids because all that lost time. It's hard, man. And I only did 7.5 months, so I dread to think these people that have done years and years, what must happen? Yeah. But yeah, what a journey.
Yeah. You want to touch on anything else in prison, or do you want to draw a line on that now?
Yeah, just I think maybe later down the line we'll get a couple of guys that I was in with and we'll do a special prison episode. Got my cellmate Gavin Lee, and I've got my tutor who, because inside I did a couple of business courses as well. I did one in Weatherby, one in Thorn Cross, trying to learn elements that I'm not so good at in business with like balance sheets, stuff like that. Yeah. So I made use of my time, but I could potentially get one of my tutors on. He were up for that.
Yeah. So one question anyway, Steve. You sample any of the prison hooch?
No, I didn't actually. No. I did sample any, but I don't even think I
fly around in there, was it?
No. Around Christmas time, everyone's drinking it in there. That's crazy. It's just a crazy place.
Yeah. Understand.
It's like going back into the 80s. There's no internet. Everything's you're writing letters. You know, DVDs. Yeah. Which is quite good, really, because it takes you back to that year. But it's
you
just
only get 15s, okay?
So repetitive. The same food every day, the same routine. You can't trust anyone. You're fully on edge all the time. It's just mad. Yeah. But yeah. So we're probably now.
Yeah. So we're out of jail now. We're 11 weeks out now.
11 weeks out, mate.
Out, mate. So right, what's the plan? Gives a 3 month.
So the first initial plan is the launch of this podcast. You know, I've been really wanting to get this out for a while, to get my side of my version of events out. I hope I have. You know, and there's some big things coming. You know, very exciting things that I'm not going to reveal too much of, but the ball is in motion, and I'm really excited to get back to where I need to be. I've got a massive charity challenge that I'm going to do in September. The Everest 3 Peaks. So basically, I'm going to climb the 3 highest mountains in England, each the equivalent of Mount Everest.
England, Scotland, Wales.
Scafell Pike, Snowdon and Ben Nevis. And I'm looking to do that for potentially mental health charity and the Children's Heart Surgery Fund again in Leeds, because one of my good friends, Roxy, has got a young baby who they saved their life. So it's just my way of giving back, and after all this shit, for me now to focus on something for the next 11 weeks, 12 weeks to do that.
People who are close to you, Steve, we know you're a good guy, you're a very giving guy, you're a very loving guy. But you've also, there's something about you, you've got like I say, you're a loving guy and all this kind of stuff, but you've also got a fucking streak of steel, mate.
Yeah.
You're one of the most determined bastards I know. You really, really do have that inside you.
I know,
like, look
mate.
at that. Look what you're going to do. You're going to do scarf or pike how many times?
9 times.
9 times.
I did
Ben
it,
Nevis.
I've already done it 9 times last year for Ukraine.
Yeah, but look what you're adding on now. So you got Ben
no.
Nevis. How many times? That's 7. Snowden 8 times. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a tough bastard, mate. Like,
Yeah.
what is it you've done as well? Like the ice bath challenges. How long are you
Yeah.
staying there for?
5 minutes at 5
5
degrees.
minutes, only put you in
In January, I put myself in hospital, kidney stones. It flared up my kidney stones,
Absolutely brilliant, mate.
So yeah, I've got big visions. I believe adversity happens for a reason.
Yeah.
This is now the foundations. I've learnt a lot of lessons.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a lot more cautious with who I trust. And just build back stronger than ever. I just want to create a legacy for my kids, man. That's what I do.
Good, mate. I've seen a good phrase from Sir Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to get it tattooed on my chest myself. It's when you're going through hell, keep going.
Exactly.
That's a short, but
and that's why I can't wait for this podcast, because everybody's got a story. Everyone goes through shit, man, and that's all I want to get from the guests. Just like you got from me today. So.
Yeah. So we're nearly close to wrapping up, yeah? You agree?
Yeah.
So
All good.
this has been very deep. So we've got a few questions to ask Steve now.
Go on.
Make it a bit fun. So 5 questions I've got for him. Oh no, first, I want your top 3 achievements business-wise.
Definitely interviewing Sylvester Stallone in West Palm Beach.
So is that third or is that first?
I'd say that's first for me.
Top. That's what I thought you were going to say, mate.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be that one.
Second one is producing the Arnold Sports Festival.
Yeah.
Especially the first year. Got Sylvester Stallone there, Dolph Lundgren there. Arnie came on the screen, so we had 3 of them there. If Arnie had turned up, we'd have had Stallone and Arnie on stage for the first time ever in a public event. Obviously Khabib there, GSP there, Katie Taylor there. It was absolutely unbelievable. And for me to put an event on of that scale without any experience, pulling all the team together to put that on was just, I sat back and thought, wow, how have I done this? Yeah. How have I done this? But I did it because I created a good team. So that's number 2. And number 3 is interviewing Mel Gibson in Glasgow. First time in Glasgow for 28 years.
How many folk got in front of?
800. Very rowdy Scots.
Yeah.
Which was difficult.
All whiskied up.
Yeah.
Right, questions, mate. So these are a few personal ones to you in a bit of a way. So, as we know, you're a massive fan of the Beatles.
Yeah.
Ask for your favourite Beatle.
Favourite Beatle? Got to be McCartney.
McCartney?
Yeah.
Right. Football or DJing? Playing football, let's say, or DJing?
I think definitely playing football, because I did love it when I played it.
Yeah.
I do love my DJing as well, though.
Right, massive Stallone fan, obviously. Got that relationship with him. Rocky or Rambo?
Definitely Rocky.
100%, mate, 100%. As we can tell, you're a massive fan of the baseball cap, and you used to be a massive fan of the pink T-shirt. So, you're going to choose one, mate. Pink T-shirt or baseball?
It's got to be baseball cap, and pink T-shirts aren't in fashion anymore.
Right, mate. Last one. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Schnitzel or Perrier? That's a food.
Definitely Perrier,
Yes,
Ukrainian
mate.
Perrier, yeah. Love that, man.
Right. So that's more or less us wrapped up. Steve, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Adam.
It's been fantastic to get your version of it. It's all right, people talking shite left, right and centre, but you've got your version across now. Yeah. And as everyone who knows you, who loves you, you know what I mean? You go for your dreams, and that's... a lot of people don't go for the dreams.
Yeah,
you've got the
mate.
balls to go out there and fucking go for what you want, and it's very admirable.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate
More
it.
than that, you're a good lad, you're a family man, you're a good man. We know you're a good man, your family know you're a good man, your friends are those closest to you, so whatever they're saying in papers at media, mate, it's all talk.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, Steve.
Cheers,
Thank you very much, mate.
Top man. Cheers, guys. Thank you for another episode of Inspired Podcast, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.